Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of My FM21 Top 3, a series where we take a category or a section of Football Manager and I present my top 3 in that said category. And today we're looking at My FM21 Top 3 first season left backs. And spoiler alert, the Premier League have got a load of really good ones. Let's check them out. Number 3 on the list of my first season favourite left backs is Lucas Digne, who is currently at Everton in the Premier League. I told you Premier League have lots of really good ones, and this is the first of those. So he plays at Everton. He's a very, very good all-round fullback. What I would say is the reason he's in third and not slightly higher is that you can see right the way across the board there are lots of 14s, but he doesn't quite excel, should I say, in some of the key areas, especially compared to our number 1 choice that we'll obviously get to in a minute. But there is very little here that goes against him. You can see that this is a good opportunity for me to tell you what I'm looking in my fullbacks, and it's about 4 different categories, attributes that I look for specifically, and it's crossing, tackling, work rate and stamina. Those are the 4 that I automatically put in, and then for tiebreaker situations we might look at a little bit of pace, a little bit of marking, maybe some long throws in there, positioning, those types of things that will then weed out some of the ones that aren't quite as good. But those 4 are the original attributes that I look for: crossing, tackling, work rate, stamina. And I think in the modern day fullback, left back and right back, that's really important to have these days. And I think this guy fulfills most of that very, very nicely. And on top of it, has things like a really good long throw as well, which whilst we've seen a little bit of a cap on recently in an update in Football Manager, up until this point has been a really potent weapon for any fullback to have. So where I think he lacks a little bit are in the slightly defensive area. His heading's 13, which is not bad. Jumping reach, not brilliant alongside that. Determination's good, but I think that positioning could be slightly better. And with a 14 of passing, I would like his vision to be up at about that point as well. So it's just dropped a little bit off where I'd really like it to be. But it's a bit nitpicky, really. Dribbling's not too bad either. So overall, if you're looking for a really good fullback, that you'll probably have to pay a pretty sum for all of these, then Lucas Digne is not a bad option at all. And he's in my 3rd place spot. Number 2 on my list is Jordi Alba, who's at Barcelona, 31 years old, so just pushing towards the end of his career, really. But in this first season, when you first start up again, if you're looking for the best left fullback you can find, whether he'd come to you or not is not the question I'm asking, really. It's just about finding the best. Then this guy is right up there. Now, there are a couple of things here that I would suggest that Lucas Digne has that Jordi Alba doesn't have. You can see that the likes of his long throw, his marking, passing are not quite as strong. There's a couple of gaps in this technical attributes area. Heading as a defensive fullback isn't as strong. You would probably play him on a complete wing-back role rather than the attacking full-back role. But elsewhere, what makes up for that is his mental attributes, and his physicals are very decent other than that jumping reach, really. You can see that all of the key areas in his physicals are pretty high. And the stuff that he has in his mental attributes that maybe Digne needs to work on a little bit are things like off the ball and teamwork, I think is quite high. The 3 at the top here, aggression, anticipation, bravery. So he's going to get stuck in and do some good stuff. Where Digne had a load of 14s across the board, you can see that there are 1 or 2 lower gaps in things that don't matter quite as much, but everything else I think is top quality, and he brings experience to the table as well. So I think overall it was a bit of a tricky one to decide upon, but just about Alba gets into my 2nd spot. And you can see that on the 4 things that we've specifically looked at, He's got 14 at crossing, 14 at tackling, 16 at work rate, 16 at stamina as well, supported by pace. And again, lots of those mental attributes. I think it's really interesting that a lot of people go down the physical route for what makes a player better. Sometimes those mental attributes are what's most important, especially when you're 31 years old. He knows how to play his position, and he gets into my number 2 spot. The first of my 2 honourable mentions goes to Kieran Tierney, who plays for Arsenal in the Premier League. Again, another one of those left fullbacks in the Premier League. But this guy's really decent. He's probably not got quite the experience that some of the others have got, and he does lack a little bit here and there. You can see in these mental stats, they're not quite as high across the board, for example, as Alba's were. But everywhere he's got 15 crossing, 15 tackling, 18 work rate, 15 stamina. So this guy's going to get up and down for you all day long. He's got reasonable defensive qualities as well as those attacking qualities, I would suggest. He's also got a little bit of leadership, which helps you immensely. And his teamwork is right high up there with the best of them as well. So there's a lot of good stuff in Kieran Tierney. Didn't quite have everything across the board to actually break into my top 3. But as a young option at 23 years old, I think this guy is worth having a look at, definitely, and is a very, very good option. My second honourable mention is a little bit different to the rest in the sense of he's got a slightly lower value, although he does have an asking price, which is about 50 million, I think. Maybe you can get him for a little bit less than that, I would imagine. But Alex Grimaldo is a really well-known left fullback in Football Manager terms, and there's a reason for it, because he's not at one of those really, really big clubs that you can't persuade him to leave. He's currently at SLB, which is Benfica, and he has got everything you need as a really good left fullback option. It might not quite be as glamorous as some of the other ones that we look at, or as well-rounded as some of the others we look at. You can see there's a couple of gaps in his physicals for a start. His pace is slightly lower than the rest that we've seen so far. But for a slightly lower value option that is going to do a really good job and improve a little bit and be in your side for quite a long time after the first season, Grimaldo is a real interesting option. He's got 14 of crossing, dribbling is 16, so he really is comfortable on the ball. First touch is really good. There's some good passing in there and good vision, so he can spot what he needs to do and execute it. He's got 14 of tackling, maybe slightly lower than you'd like potentially. The work rate isn't as high, so he's at 12 on work rate, but 14 on stamina, so can still get up and down that pitch, still support both defensive and offensive styles of play. Doesn't quite have the work rate, but his teamwork makes up for that. He's also really good off the ball and with his decision-making process as well. So a little bit of a budget option, a little bit more attainable if you're at one of the bigger clubs in the European football and you want to go and nick somebody else's left fullback. I think this is probably as good as you're going to find. And for anybody that's played Football Manager over the last couple of seasons, you will not be surprised by this choice. It was inevitable, really. If we go and put him in the full-back role, you can see that Andrew Robertson at Liverpool, spoiler alert, will probably see his right full-back partner in crime at some point on another list. Andrew Robertson is my number 1 pick for my FM21 top 3 first season left fullbacks. He is fantastic. All the way across the board. 15s in pretty much every area that you would really need him to have, other than maybe one that we will have a look at in a second. But let's look at those 4 key ones. Crossing at 17, tackling 15, work rate 17, stamina 17. This guy has got what you need. He's got all of the energy, all of the stamina to get up and down that left-hand side, support the offensive play, but also be really solid when he's asked to do a defensive job. You can see his marking is 15, position of 15, determination of 15. 14. Anticipation, aggression, bravery, all 15. Really, really solid defensive fullback, as well as a fantastic player going forward as well. The one area that he lacks a little bit, at 5'10", you'd expect him to be a little bit better than he is in the air. So if you're looking for a guy that can do it in the air in terms of defending corners and other bits and pieces, you might want to put this guy on the post rather than in and amongst the action. A heading of 10 is not particularly good. Strength is not particularly fantastic at 12, and jumping reach at 9 is not great either. So that is the one area of this guy's game that probably needs a little bit of work on it to make him all round just absolutely phenomenal. But even without it, this is by far, in my opinion, the best left-sided fullback you can find in this game. Now, he's playing for Liverpool. You're probably not going to get him out of the club in the first season. At 48 million, you're going to have to probably double it to get him anywhere near your club. But if you can, and again, I'm not trying to find you the ones that are available, I'm trying to find you the best. This guy is head and shoulders above everybody else, I would suggest, and will be for an awful lot longer than some of them, because he's only 26 years old. So, number one spot, top left backs in the first season for me, Andrew Robertson at Liverpool Football Club. There you go. What do you think? Do you disagree with the choices? There were lots to look through. 3 really good options in the top 3, plus a couple of honourable mentions. Would you have changed it up in any way? Would you have brought somebody else in? The one guy that didn't get into my list at all, that probably should have, but you just could make these videos last for hours if you go through everyone, would be someone like Bernard Mendy, again in the Premier League at Man City. I'm telling you, left backs is where it's at for the Premier League. But other than him, who else would you have put on your list? Who have you used that's been really fantastic for you from the first season? I'm not looking at potential. I'm looking for the here and now and who's best. And for now, for me, it was Andrew Robertson. You let me know about yours in the comments below. Thanks for joining me for this particular episode. We'll do another of these lists next week and look at a completely different category of Football Manager. Until then, thank you for joining me today, or can't get my words out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join my United City community. The more the merrier. All the links are in the description below to my Twitter, my Discord, my Patreon, my merchandise store. Go and support the channel through that. Click a like button on this particular episode and help me continue to grow the channel. Until next time though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.